Hey, I'm Parker X. I led tech for a startup that sold for 23 million bucks. After that, tried a couple different startups and went all in on programming. Then GPT came out, went all in on AI, using it every day for the last 3 years to learn how to leverage it in code and marketing and business in general. And so I want to talk about rules, cursor rules. So I'd seen this video a little while back from this guy, Eli, and I want to show you how to implement it because he had some good points, and he also runs this inbox thing. So first of all, use TaskMaster, of course. But what we're doing now is I'm building out the site for our education/community company called I Vibe with AI. That's what this thing is in the picture below me. And I'm getting ready to wrap it up, but there's a bunch of stuff that TaskMaster did that is done. It works, but it can be optimized. So I want to make it better. And what a better way than to use some of the rules as a piece of educational content. So cursor rules, if you're not familiar, they determine how cursor will act based on the request that it's sending. So earlier days, it kind of would run rampant, but then you have patterns that you like. So you want those patterns to be done. So first off, if you're using Supabase, then you can do a command. It's a shadcn command, and it'll add in the best practices from them. So that's pretty cool. So that's one tip I would do is Supabase official cursor rules. Type that in. You can go to the cursor directory too and do it. But in here, you'll see the folder structure as for DB functions, migrations, RLS policies, SQL style guide, and edge functions. And you can just grab this and run it, and it will post it into your project. So I have that, right? You want to have ones that are specific. If they're official, that's better. And they update them pretty often. So you can follow a couple of the guys on Twitter to keep up with it. But in this case, we're going to make our own rules. And so I have a bunch of these patterns in my app for fetching, right? So I always lay it out where I have my app, and this is just one app, right? It's just Next.js. But for bigger stuff, I would do the same thing. I just use Turbo repo and then nest them. So if I wanted to have a React router app or Vite app, or Astra for marketing, or Python server for agents, whatever, they'd all be nested in there, but same structure. And then in the monorepo world, you'd have Supabase as a package, but that's a different case. So what I do in these ones is I just have Supabase as a separate, and then I have edge functions in here, which is Dino, and then I have migrations in here, queries in here. I usually break them out by the bucket, and then I'll have mutations as well. So let's see, I need to make sure we have mutations we have queries. Do we have mutations? Yeah, we don't have mutations. So let's add one for mutations. Cool. Mutations are things that change, right? So a mutation is not a read, it's a write. So instead of get prompts, it'd be create prompt. And then I typically name them in kebab case, which is this lowercase stuff. So that's a rule. But what we're doing is we're going to plus up the existing method that we have here, this existing query. And because they're really small, it makes it a lot easier to work with. But what we already did was we said, hey, we need to update this to use our singleton in blank. So a singleton, if you're not familiar, is under clients. I have all these different clients, and this one is the one place that we're making a connection with Supabase. So that way, if this one works, then anything that needs to make a call to Supabase will go through this on a server component, and then through this on a client component. And so what I want to do is, before it was using just the Supabase client, and that's because TaskMaster did the job, but it didn't follow practice that I want. So we're going to make a rule around it. First, we're going to make it better, right? So we've done one thing. We said use best practices. Okay. Didn't really do much there, but it did what we wanted. And then it refactored it. It just swapped these things out. But next I'm going to say, okay, because I want a rule that will have the best practices across the project, I want to further improve this. So this pattern of, hey, we should have a global logger.ts that we can have in our project that has different levels that can be set in our .env. Then we can update the get prompts.ts to use it. And what this will do is just that, where I'm going to actually grab where I want it. So I'm going to put this inside of here, probably. Let's actually make This is a really small project, and I'm going to release it later today. It'll have all the freebies in it. But I'm going to put it inside of utils. So I'm going to grab this and copy relative path. And I'm going to do a global logger inside, boom. That has different levels that can be set in our env. Do I want it to be set there to determine the mode? Then we can update that to use it. Okay, cool. Let's see what this does. It should go create the file, and then it'll have info. It'll have a standard for it. Yeah, debug, info, warning, error. So this is a determined thing. This is just a standard practice, but it's really nice not only for you when you're manually debugging, but for LLMs as well. So we can see it didn't get that right. Cool, now it got it right. All right, so we like that. This is good. This way now, not only are we using the singleton, but we're also using the types, and we're also using this new logger. Great. And if you're not familiar, this is the best way to do it with your types for Supabase. So that way, when you're trying to call something in your database, it will give you the auto suggestions, and your tab button will thank you because it'll know what's going on. So now that we have that, we like it, and we want to make this into a rule for data fetching for queries because it has the stuff that we like. I'm going to ask one last time. Is there anything we could do to improve the reliability / dryness of get prompts? So I really want to make this one awesome because we're going to make a rule around it. So let's see what it does. It's reviewing it. It says it does logging, does the singleton, potential improvements, generic query helper. Well, if you anticipate having this, let's see what it's thinking of. Yeah, I mean, this is just another extraction, which I don't think is great. So I'm going to keep this because I don't think that we need another file. I want to make sure it didn't create it. That is Dino. Cool. It didn't create that. So now that we have one that we like, let's go ahead and make a rule out of it. So let's see, how does this look? The unexpected any's are okay, but let's see. I use biome as well. Highly recommend that. So I'm going to do biome, ignore. Cool. And let's add those just because strict formatting and linting is key. And I say that as I let any's in, but because this is a generic utility, I'm fine with it. So now we're going to create a rule. And I already have cursor rules in here. So this is from TaskMaster. If you want to learn about that, you can look on my channel. So the last video. But let's do a little bit of formatting in here first. I want to make sure that the rule creator is as good as it could be. So let's see if we can't find his example. I believe it's in here. Yeah. So you always see this at the top, where at the top of rules, you have a fence. That's what these things are. If you've written Astro, you know what that is. Or like markdown files. But it'll have a description. It'll have the globs. Globs is the selector of where in the code base should this be applied. So if you had rules that are specific to just one folder, then that's what that means. And then always apply is, will this apply for everything or for like conditional if you call it. So looking at this, I like this naming convention. So I want to grab that. See, naming. Do we have anything about naming? We don't have anything about naming. So let's go ahead and main points in bold, follow the naming convention. Let's make that actually, what's this doing? That's markdown. Let's put this here. And if you guys don't have this plugin for previewing markdown, you should, oh, this is not markdown. MDC, so I can't preview it. Interesting. Let's go ahead and we're going to take this and I'm going to just open up a ChatGPT And then I'm going to attach this and I'm going to say, we need to improve the formatting of this .mbc file. And for some reason it's saying inactive. So let's try to do that again. Add, click there. No, doesn't want to do it. Let's paste that in there. We're going to get a nice formatted one. We're going to use for mini high. Let's do for mini. Boom. Just to make sure, because we have bolded ones, that's the stock template for using, what's it called? For using TaskMaster. And then we have some of the ones from his. So I want to kind of mix the two. Example, incorrect example. No, I want, give me the entire updated version. If that's not going to work, then I could have just done this manually. So let me take the numbers out. That's all good. And we'll follow, follow that pattern. Always follow this. What is going on? What just happened? Oh boy. We're having a little issue, a little technical issue with, I think ChatGPT is trying to overwrite it, which I don't love. So we're gonna nuke that. So I'm gonna back up. What is going on? If you ever run into issues like this, you just hit reload window. Command-Shift-P, reload. Anyways, goodbye. Cool. So now we're back. No clue what just happened there. Honestly, this should just work. I just wanted to peel those numbers out, and I'm not going to edit this because you should, if you run into this stuff, like, look, it's not perfect. Like, people will run into issues, so I'd rather keep it in there so you know how to address it. But I just want to follow the convention that is using the other ones. Good. Directory structure, that looks good. That looks good. Cool. Do we have the naming thing in here? Yeah, we do. Let's add a space there. Okay. So now that we have that all dialed in, this is the thing that's going to make the rules. And then now we're going to use it. So let's go back and we're going to open up a new one. And I'm going to tag that. And I'm going to say create a rule for data fetching and loading. Yes, for data fetching, that's a query using @get prompt types as the example. Cool. So when we kick this off, we'll keep it in ask mode because I don't want it to mess up. And let's see, it should determine that, hey, we should use the logger. Hey, we should do this. Hey, should we do that? And it will give me the output for this. So let's see. Yeah, very cool. Client-server. We will always use client-server for that. Cool. So let's grab this and we're going to go ahead and create a new one and then review it. So data-fetching.mdc. Cool. Let's put it in here and take a look together. Let's close that. Oops. Close that side panel. So guidelines for creating Supabase data fetching functions to be applied on queries. Yes, that's smart. Yeah, that's for calling it. Always apply. Sure. Do we want to always apply it? Probably agent requested. Yeah. Because we want to only say, hey, like we're going to make, I think always. I'm doing a lot of data fetching. So if it does involve that, then it can be passed into context. If I have issues with this though, then I'll flip it off because it's just unnecessary token usage. But because I do a lot of data fetching, I'll keep it on and see and experiment, and I'll comment below if things change. But if you're having issues, it's probably because of that thing. Purpose. Standardize how it's done within server-side or dedicated query functions. I'm going to make this more generic because it's only for server-side. So then let's grab one that does client-side fetching. So let's go to, I don't know, what I'll do is I'll just be typing in client. And then that way I can see an example of its usage. So I know it's going to be in a TSX. It's probably here. And this is probably, yes. Okay, cool. So what I'm doing is, because I only had an example of the server-side one, I also want to include an example of how to use it in the client-side stuff. So let's look where that's being called. It's here, create client, cool. If we scroll down, we're going to find where it's passed in, and then that's the sign in with OTP. Where is it? I guess it's just using for the sign in. Yeah, cool. So we could either do that one or this one, which is probably better because I think it's just doing more. Yeah, so this is getting a session. Either one of these would work. So let's update our rule to include client side fetching examples. This way we have coverage for all data fetching patterns. It uses, and then I'll grab the singleton, which will be in the client.ts. So I grab this, boom, right here, copy relative path, fetching examples. This way we have coverage, yeah, for both server and client components. Here's the singleton for client. Cool. Now we'll have a very generic one, but it will be awesome because anytime we're doing any sort of data fetching, that it will do both. Doesn't seem like this is okay. Let me stop that, and I'm going to paste in. Here's the existing rule. Sometimes it has problems with if it's not actually committed. So let's see, data fetching. It's because it's because I needed to. Yeah, boom. Continue and revert. Let that bad boy run. Add a section specifically for client. Yep. Here's the updated version. And let's see, is it done? Return value. Go. Update the component state. Cool. Let's grab this, review it, and you guys get it. That's how it works. So then I would look and I'd see, cool, I have it as always, guideline for data fetching server and client. If you had issues in a larger code base, you could separate the two for sure. And I would go ahead and tweak it, right? So it knows it's a client component. It knows if it has custom hooks in it. Descriptive prefix with get. Okay. Yep. So it's covering both the, like I said, the client and the server, but then also examples within the file, which is really nice. So do import the correct one based on the context. Yeah, good job. So it'll cover all those import issues that I've mentioned in previous videos. It's doing the type stuff. I want to see if it includes the logger. Yeah, it does. Good. Good. So yeah, that worked perfectly. And then whenever I'm doing stuff in the future, I just call that. So, hey, we're going to do data fetching and make sure you follow the rule for this. If it's set to always, then it should just do it and it'll be great. If you want this set of rules, then give me the rules below. And unlike previous videos where I say, here, you're going to get this thing, and then I don't reply, you'll actually get it because the thing that we're working on in here is where I'm hosting all of them. So instead of you going to a Notion link that inevitably I won't update, this will be updated. So you'll pop your email in, optional, it's anonymous sign in, but giving me the email will allow me to, when I make updates on both the freebies, the templates, both paid and free stuff, and then updates to the prompts because they change all the time when new models come out or I find out something great, then you'll get an email with that. I also have a daily channel if you want to check that out, where if you want to go deeper on the stuff of like how I'm strategizing to get to 100K in profit a month, you can go follow that. It's just my name plus the word daily. And of course, you got to like the video because that's your way to be awesome and put good karma in the world, and subscribe so you can see future videos like this. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.